Welcome to New York's #2 sports show. The Yankees lose 2 out of 3 at the Washington Nationals. So, last episode I said that, the Yankees should win Garrett Cole versus Patrick Corbin in Game 2. That doesn't happen. And they did split Games 1 and 3. But they win Game 1, and it was a good pitching outing from Nestor Cortes. Yankees actually played some surprisingly very good defense. A lot of really good defensive plays across the board. And hit some home runs, did what they had to do. It wasn't as if the offense was prolific in that game. They scored 5 runs, but in Games 2 and 3, 2 runs each in those games. And combined in this series, they go 1 for 26 of runners in scoring position. Garrett Cole, not a great outing. Well, gave him a chance to win. He wasn't terrible, but not great. And Carlos Rodon, not very good, where he allows about 5 innings and maybe 5 2/3 innings. And there was pitch comm issues, but with Rodon, it's just I find myself probably not as confident in him as maybe other Yankee fans. And I just think that come playoff time, I don't think you know what you're getting. To say that Carlos Rodon is just your automatic number 2 and everything's going to be fine, I think is a little foolish, to be honest. And I think that there's others, like he could be as high as your 2, or he could honestly be as low as like your 4 or 5, like truly. I think based on his contract and based on that he's done well enough, like he's going to get that opportunity. But yeah, don't love what I've seen from him. I guess on the list of issues, I guess he doesn't fall that high in the series, but a little bit. It was more of an offensive problem. Patrick Corbin's been one of the worst pitchers in baseball. And the only reason, in my opinion, that he has a starter's job in Major League Baseball currently is because of his contract. There's just no way to justify it otherwise. It's kind of like the pitching version of DJ LeMahieu, where LeMahieu really, and we'll talk about him, finally he was pinch hit for in the last game. And it's one of those things where, how much longer is he going to hurt this ball club? And Oswaldo Cabrera pinch hit in the 9th inning in the same exact situation as the night before against Kyle Finnegan. Now, the result was the same, although Oswaldo Cabrera really hit the ball hard. And he got screwed over by one of the worst ball strike calls I've ever seen, where the pitch was like 4 inches off the plate and they called it a strike. It was kind of crazy. But yeah, all I was looking for was winning 2 out of 3. I didn't expect to sweep the Nationals. Again, they're not that bad. they're a young team. Dylan Cruz made his major league debut. James Wood came up within the last couple of months. There's stuff there. They are not like some total laughing stock. To think that you were going to sweep them, I think, it wasn't something that was really all that realistic. But 2 out of 3 was still what you were looking for, 100%. And they win that first game. You're feeling pretty good about those chances. And then, I go back to that game too. Cole versus Corbin. There's just no excuse to lose that one. That really simply can't happen. And then you combine it with the fact that the Baltimore Orioles, and as I'm recording this, there's still a lot to go in that Orioles-Dodgers series. But the Orioles, they won Game 1. It's early in Game 2, but the Orioles are up against the Dodgers in that one as well. So all of a sudden, it was always close. We always knew it was likely to come down to the wire, but this is not a great turn of events where you would have certainly hoped to have picked up a game or 2 on the Orioles. Instead, that might go the other way around. They might pick up a game or 2 on the Yanks. So right now, as I'm recording this, the teams are tied in the loss column. That's just how I'll put it. So it is neck and neck. Things could change. The Orioles may end up losing 2 of 3 to the Dodgers. But even if they do that, that's not great. But it's like the Dodgers are arguably the best team in baseball. So no real harm there. So not great. And the Yankees have shown that against below 500 teams, they're just not doing good enough. The Yankees, I believe, have the best record in all the big leagues against teams above 500. It's an impressive mark as well. I think it might be around 54 and 36. But then they are 24 and 20 versus 24 and 20. It's about that. Don't hold me to that exact. No, that is true. 54 and 36 against above 500 teams. And Actually, let me get this one right. Let me get it right. It is, and these stats do fluctuate, of course, because teams that are kind of hovering around 500, that can kind of change it a bit. But right now on LB.com, it is 47-30 against teams above 500. So 17 games over 500 against above 500 teams. And so then that would lead you to the Yankees being, I guess, 5 games above 500 against below 500 teams. Like that's not good enough. Very good mark against good teams, and they're really just letting games slide. And so on the one hand, it's kind of like, oh, well, then that may bode well for the playoffs. Sure, you could definitely surmise that, but I think we've seen this from the Yankees. I think this has been a bit of a theme. I don't have the stats to back that up in front of me right now, but I think in recent years, I think the Yankees have had their fair. The Yankees have shown they are capable of beating some of the better teams in the game, but they really just kind of have not gotten it done against some of the worser teams. So as far as this series goes, I don't believe there's any transactions to speak of coming in or out of this series. But what is interesting is that like Anthony Rizzo seems like he's potentially, like, as soon as this coming weekend versus the Cardinals, coming back. And September 1st is when they expand the rosters by 2, so 1 pitcher, 1 hitter. So, tough decisions are going to have to be made on both sides of the ball. And, I've speculated a lot in previous episodes. I'm not going to do that in this one. No need to. But, again, Rizzo, I think, is like coming close more than anyone. And so it could be as simple as him just taking one of those open roster spots. Or, again, I think Ben Rice is the logical guy that would be sent down. There's another conversation to be had with DJ LeMahieu. The Yankees faced 3 left-handed starters this series, so LeMahieu started all 3 games. On the flip side versus the Cardinals, it's actually 3 righties. So I would not expect to see LeMahieu at all, other than, I suppose, as a defensive replacement for Ben Rice, assuming that Rizzo isn't back immediately. So, and you know what? It's not as if LeMahieu statistically had this, like, god-awful series, but just came up in key spots and couldn't get it done. I think all Yankee fans can agree that, we've seen enough. And he is just simply not getting it done. The numbers show that, over the course of, the last few months, ever since he came back from that injury. So, yeah. And you feel bad for Oswaldo Cabrera, just because, with Jazz Chisholm coming back, it just feels as if he really has no chance of cracking that starting lineup at any regular basis. So let's go through the lineup. And if anything comes to mind, I'll definitely make sure to mention it. Phil Bickford stayed on the roster. I guess that's one thing to kind of mention. And Will Warren's going to be getting another start in the next series versus Texas. Clark Schmidt's probably not too far away, but I know they're kind of slow playing him a little bit. I think we'll see him within a couple of weeks. And there's a lot of those bullpen arms that are very deserving of coming up that, I got to think Scott Efros is close. It's just kind of crazy. But yeah, let's discuss the lineup, which really did, by and large, struggle in this series. Who really had a rough series that comes to mind? And it's not so much that he necessarily came up in big spots and didn't come through, but Juan Soto, who had already returned to Washington, this must have been maybe his 2nd or 3rd time back at most, and they gave him a nice standing ovation during his first at bat in Game 1. Soto didn't really, let's see, how many hits did Soto have in the series? And also Aaron Judge didn't homer, so the pace, I don't know where it sits at now. You don't really hear about the pace when he's not hitting home runs. So did no homers, still had tons of hits. He did have a big double play, Judge, but he scolded the ball. Game 2, we'll get there. But Soto in these 3 games, Juan Soto, he was hitless. That's pretty crazy. They really shut him down. He was 0 for 12 with just 1 walk and 3 strikeouts. Wow, I guess doing a favor to his old team. I didn't know that it was – I knew that it wasn't good, but I didn't know it was that bad. So that's always going to be tough when he's not really doing a whole lot. Gleyber Torres had a real good Game 1, and Torres overall has really solidified himself as, a main fixture batting leadoff. That's just what it is. And so Torres, he has found a home there for now. And I don't see any reason why that would change anytime soon. And also homered back-to-back games. The end of the Rocky series, then the beginning of the National series, actually led off the game with a homer. Like I said, Soto was shut down in the series. Aaron Judge had his contributions, really defensively, made an unbelievably great catch in center field in Game 1. Giancarlo Stanton was quiet, for sure. I don't need to see all the numbers to know that. Stanton didn't do a whole lot. Actually did play all 3 games, all night games. Austin Wells was pretty good. Now, a lot of stolen bases. A lot of it was Carlos Rodon's fault in Game 3. They kind of ran on Trevino / Cole in Game 2. So the Nationals were running a lot. And the Yankee defense was sloppy after Game 1. The defense was not very good in Games 2 and 3. I guess more so Game 2. But yeah, just overall, this is a Jekyll and Hyde. Really, they are Jekyll and Hyde as far as Game 1 was like really a very well played game by the Yanks. And then just the next 2 games wasn't the same. But the Austin Wells, he homered. He was pretty good, got on base. He actually had, I think, a pinch hit single or something like that in Game 2. Anthony Volpe, I think the stats are going to look pretty good for Anthony Volpe. He had 3 hits in Game 1. I think he had a couple hits in Game 3. So Volpe with a pretty solid series. Jazz Chisholm, interesting with him, where he ends up hitting a couple of home runs. He's been a bit, I don't want to say all or nothing. It feels like Chisholm, there's been a lot of strikeouts in his game. In some spots where you'd hope that there wouldn't be. So just something I'm noticing where maybe a little bit of home run and strikeout in his game, but yeah, but still a lot of production. He's been struggling a little bit defensively, but there's going to be growing pains there. So that's that. DJ LeMahieu, we discussed him. It just is what it is there. And then Alex Verdugo, pretty good series from him. He had 3 hits in Game 1. Like, he's been decent. With Dominguez potentially coming up soon, Verdugo has kind of shown some things. That said, he's still at the bottom of the lineup. And also that said, I don't know if it's enough for me to say, hey, I just want him starting automatically. I still think ideally, he's not guaranteed everyday reps. That all said, I think we're dealing with a different situation. Verdugo compared to LeMahieu, it's a little bit different, and there's a little bit more hope for Verdugo. But that said, it's been no doubt about it, bad season for him. Okay, so Game 1, Nestor Cortes really continues to pitch very well, and it's kind of interesting how the narrative changes, right? Because Cortes, when we first discussed it, he was really, in my mind, totally not going to be in that postseason rotation if everyone was healthy. Now, even if you throw Heel back in, Schmidt back in, Cortes has been really good. So, and there's a bit of a track record with him. This has been, someone who has been a good pitcher in this league the last couple of seasons. So, hey, anything's on the table at this point, as far as I'm concerned. I still think he's probably on the outside looking in, but you can't say that with full confidence. No way. So Cortes wins to improve to 8. The record gets him to 8-10. ERA drops to 3.89. The numbers just, again, that record's, it's always been misleading. Hadn't really gotten much run support. And so, yeah, it's been good stuff from Nestor. And what's been good, too, is you're seeing some, at times, the road outings have been all right. And that was kind of a bugaboo for Cortes. So, anyway, 6 2/3, 4 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. A really good outing for him. He went against a lefty, Mitchell Parker. And Parker was okay. He didn't really give a whole lot of length. 4 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. So it starts out really good for the Yanks. A leadoff homer for Gleyber Torres, his 12th homer of the season. So, look, slowly but surely, it's going to end up in a really bad statistical year for Gleyber. But look, you got to say the last month and a half, the numbers are picking up a bit. The power isn't there, despite the fact that he had homers recently. It's not happening. But look, batting leadoff, you're looking for walks. You're looking for just getting on base. So he doesn't need to provide the home runs. So that makes it 1-0 Yankees right there. Then where do we go from here? Verdugo makes a really nice catch on Keibert Ruiz in the second inning where Andre Chaparro, the former Yankee prospect, who looked impressive. This is a good offensive player. Like, this is someone that I think could kind of have a role on a team. And the Nationals, he's kind of been getting those first base reps for them. So, but yeah, a big catch by Verdugo against the wall, kind of bends his hat. Was down for a little bit. He was evaluated, but he was fine. So a really good catch by Verdugo. So yeah, that is, I guess I'll be fair. At times, I think overall Nestor's outing was good. He had some big strikeouts when he needed them late, but early defense did help him. There were some hard hit balls, and they came through for him. So the score remains 1-0. And then in the fourth, the Yankees manufacture some runs, and look, LeMahieu was on the positive side of this. So again, it wasn't all bad for him. It's more of just an overall summary. Volpe leadoff double, Chisholm Jr. lines out to right, gets Volpe over to third, and then LeMahieu sac fly. I think that combination happens, or a somewhat similar combination happens later in the game. So that gives the Yankees a 2-0 lead. Then in the fourth is where Aaron Judge robs Andre Chaparro of a 2-run homer. Just an amazing catch. You know what? Because I was a little bit critical of Judge's defense. And you know what? Maybe coming in on the ball, he's not the best, but he's been getting good reads, tracking balls down. And this was he robbed a home run flat out. And his size helped him do so. So just that was a pretty electric catch by Aaron Judge to keep the Yankees in the lead at 2-0. Then in the sixth, Austin Wells. He homers. It's his 10th homer of the season. I got to say, Austin Wells, I think out of his 10 homers, at least 7 or 8 of them, if not more, are on the road. It's just weird how that works. You think that with the short porch and right, but yeah, it seems like he's doing a lot more of his power damage on the road. So that makes it 3-0. Then you get a Volpe single. He advances to second on an error by the center fielder, Jacob Young. They bring on a new pitcher. It was a lefty coming in for a righty. Chisholm pops out, but Volpe still's third, and then LeMahieu sac flies. So Volpe makes things happen with the speed, with the single, going to second on the error, stealing third, and LeMahieu with the second sac fly of the night makes it 4-0 Yanks. Then in the Cortez gets out of a jam in the sixth, very impressive. Actually struck out the side, doing so after he had only had to that point like 2 Ks on the night. So the fact that he was able to do that was really nice. And then we go to the seventh. He had a long scoreless streak that hit maybe about 19 innings, dating back to, I guess, the last few starts. But Juan Yepez ends that. His 5th homer of the year makes it 4-1. And then they take him out for Mark Leiter Jr. We'll talk about Mark Leiter Jr. He gets out of that inning. Jazz Chisholm then homers off and a lefty homer. We've seen that from Jazz, which is nice. And as I'm recording this, the Dodgers have now taken a 5-3 lead. So that's how things can change quickly. And Corbin Burns has really, really been struggling for the Orioles. Like, he has been bad lately. So just like that, the Dodgers are now winning again. That game's early. So just an update there. But yeah, so Chisholm, 21st homer of the season, hitting a lot of home runs as a Yankee, for sure. And against lefties, too. I feel like for him, the slugging is probably pretty solid versus lefties, but it feels like it's only home runs versus lefties. I'll check that another time, but it's 5-1 Yanks. And then bottom of the 8th, off of Mark Leiter Jr., Jacob Young homers, his 3rd homer of the year. It's just been bad for Leiter Jr. And they're going to stick with him. His role is definitely less than it had been, but this was someone that was brought in. They thought he was going to be one of the high-leverage top 2 or 3 guys in the pen. That just simply hasn't been the case, and he has deservedly dropped down in that pecking order. He then gets a ground out, but yeah, just, he had allowed like 2 homers in the whole season for the Cubs. In short order here, he's already allowed 4. So you just can't have that. Makes it 5-2. Jake Cousins finishes out the inning. Cousins continues to just, be a really, really good piece out of that pen for the Yankees. So that it's 5-2. Then in the bottom 9th, Clay Holmes comes on, and Holmes would get a 1-2-3 inning. No strikeouts, but Holmes in a 3-run game, you're okay with, depending on the opponent. It's when it's a run game that I'm just terrified that Holmes is going to blow it. But Clay gets his 28th save of the season. Yankees win game 1, 5-2. And then it's like, all right, you got Cole versus Corbin. I can't stress enough the lopsided nature of that pitching matchup. I really can't. But yet they found a way to fuck it up. No way around it. So let's see here. Yeah, Corbin with the good outing. It was a really good outing. His ERA is now 5.50. The win gets his record of 4-12. It's crazy. And then Garrett Cole, you take out those 2 Met outings, the rest of the numbers are good. Maybe it's something with the NL East, I don't know. But Garrett Cole loses, goes to 5-3, 5 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts, and 2 homers. And that's what got him. It was back-to-back homers by Chaparro and it's either Tena or Tina. Or Tana. It's actually Tana. There we go. The third option. Yeah. So that's tough. Young players, it was Chaparro's first homer. And Tana's second. And that, and look, Cole didn't look great beyond that, but that's what got him. But really the bigger issue was the Yankees were shut down by Patrick Corbin. 6 innings, 2 hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. I mean, just a fantastic outing. Once the bullpen came in, then the Yankees started getting things going, but just brutal by the offense. To me, this series falls on the offense. Yes, Cole wasn't great. Yes, Rodon was worse. But you just can't have what you had. And again, the Yankees versus left-handers, it is a problem. I mean, again, that's the blueprint on the Yankees. I don't know how they're going to fix that. I think if your team's in the playoffs, you are throwing out as many lefties as you can against this Yankee ball club. So let's see here. And the lineups in each game were just about the same, except, Wells for Trevino. But other than that, basically, the top 4 was intact, and maybe Verdugo and LeMahieu kind of switch spots in 8-9. That's kind of all it was. So anyway, in this game, the Nationals take the lead. And what would happen is the bottom of the second, a 1-out single by Tana, and then a RBI double by Dylan Cruz. Oh, no, sorry. I jumped the gun there. Not an RBI double. It's his first hit of his career, actually, off of Cole, which is pretty impressive. Second and third, 1 out. Former Yankee Joey Gallo is able to get an RBI groundout, and that's disappointing. Joey Gallo did hit the ball hard. He ends up making an embarrassingly bad base running blunder in Game 3, so Gallo found a way to make a fool of himself when it was you know what? And look, Gallo's just simply a bad MLB player at this stage of his career. But look, in Texas, he was all right. But ever since the Yankees, it's just been a train wreck. But Cole doesn't strike him out. Gallo gets the RBI ground out, makes it 1-0 Nationals. And then in the fourth is where those back-to-back homers happen. Chaparro and Tana make it 3-0. So not great there for Cole. Then Tim Meza comes on in the 6th, and this was a disaster of a 6th inning defensively. Meza wasn't hit hard at all. To be honest, this was not his fault, and he gives up an unearned run. You get, with 1 out, Dylan Cruz, it's a little kind of a swinging bunt. Not a great throw by Trevino, but also LeMahieu, I thought, could have maybe caught the ball, and the ball goes away from him, and so it's a 2-base error on Trevino. Then Cruz steals third on a play that was actually a pretty good throw by Trevino, but Chisholm couldn't get the tag. I'm not sure why that happened, because the throw beat him by a lot, but didn't work out. Runner on third, 1 out. Joey Gallo hits the ball hard. Again, you want to strike Gallo out if you can, but he hits the ball hard to LeMahieu, and LeMahieu boots it, and then he can't get anyone out. And that wasn't so much a big deal. It was the fact that if he fields that cleanly, Cruz is staying at third. So LeMahieu's charged with an error right there, and then it actually gets a little worse. Then on a strikeout to Jacob Young, Trevino tries to throw, Gallo tries to steal second, and does it successfully. No one covered second base. I think it was supposed to be Glaber. But Torres and Volpe didn't cover second, and the ball just goes to the outfield. So that ends up being an inning, which sees, I think, 3 errors. 2 on Trevino. Really, one of them was not fair at all. And even the first one was whatever. And then LeMahieu. It was LeMahieu was a big problem there, and then miscommunication, just ugly. Makes it 4-0 Nationals. Then in the seventh, you get an opportunity where Verdugo faces, I believe, a lefty. Hits the ball decently well, but it's a double play. First and second, 1 out, 6-4-3 double play. Then at the bottom of the 7th, Tim Hill comes on, pitches a 1-2-3 inning. Jacob Barnes pitches the 8th. LeMahieu with a very lucky infield single. Glaber then with a routine regular single. And then Soto, Yankees catch a break. Soto reaches on a fielder's choice where they don't get anyone out. Not a great throw by Luis Garcia, the second baseman. And so now it's bases loaded, no out for Judge, down 4-0. So you're thinking, all right, this could be exactly what the Yankees need. But unfortunately, Judge, who hit the ball hard, hits a 6-4-3 double play. And Judge, I got to think that he is close to leading baseball in double plays. And again, like, I don't mean that as like as a shot at him, but just it's the facts. That's just part of his game. And so a run does score, but that was a big missed opportunity. And Judge had a 3-1 count on him as well. So that one stings, no doubt about it. And then Kyle Finnegan, the closer, comes on and gets Giancarlo Stanton to ground out. A not so good series for Stanton. And so that makes it 4-1. We go to the eighth. Phil Bickford actually pitches a 1-2-3 inning. I don't think he's long for this Yankee club, but give him credit for for a good inning there. And then the ninth inning with Finnegan still on, leadoff double for Chisholm. He goes to third on defensive indifference, and then Volpe grounds out to short. And that was a little bit unfortunate considering the fact that Volpe, I think it was a full count. Again, it was a strike, but an RBI ground out. But not what you're looking for. And then Austin Wells singles, Alex Verdugo singles, and then that's where DJ LeMahieu steps up to the plate. And against the righty Finnegan, now the reason that they use is that Finnegan is a reverse splits guy. Finnegan is better versus lefties, but it's interesting how LeMahieu, in this situation in Game 2, hit for himself and flat out pretty lazily to right. And then Oswaldo Cabrera pitched it in Game 3. So they kind of at least acknowledged, I wish they had done it in Game 2, but at least Oswaldo should have been the one that would have been up in that spot there. And it was first and second. And really, you could argue, really, quite honestly, well, I guess it's tough to say, but both situations, I guess, were about equal importance. And so LeMahieu flies out, and then Glaber, he's ahead in the count, I think, 3-1. And he hits a pretty deep fly ball to right. I think it actually would have been out at Yankee Stadium, but he flies out to cruise down the game. So back-to-back games in Games 2 and 3, Juan Soto was left on deck. And if he had come up, it would have been a gigantic situation. So we were robbed of that, and the Yankees lose 4-2, a very, very disappointing loss. And then Game 3, somewhat of a similar script. So let's discuss Game 3. All right. So Carlos Rodon would start the third game, and he was good last outing, to be fair to him. But the outing before that against the Tigers, this was kind of more like the Tigers outing. And the problem with Rodon is when he goes wrong, it kind of starts out shitty, and it never really picks its way back up. And so that's kind of the problem there. It's not as if he completely blows up and the whole thing kind of goes out of control, but it's bad enough where it puts the Yankees on the 8 ball. That reminds me of a stat. The Yankees are 5-21 when trailing after the first inning. So, which is the third worst record in baseball. And I think that's kind of fair in the sense that the Yankees really have not been, in terms of comebacks, I wonder where they rank. When they go down by multiple runs, I don't know. They haven't really had too many wow, what an amazing comeback. It just hasn't, it's kind of one of those things. They take the lead, they typically keep it, they fall behind, and that's kind of it. I know it's not fair to completely just generalize it like that, but the stat just speaks for itself. I mean, that's 5-21 when losing at the first inning. And I imagine that in a lot of these cases, the Yankees are maybe giving up multiple runs in the first, but still, that's not good. So anyway, pitch comm issues for Rodon. I'll acknowledge that, but yet it's I don't feel that bad for him. I don't. You got to work through that. He goes 5 2/3 innings, 8 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 walks, and 8 strikeouts. Record drops to 14-9. The record's good, but to me, records are very misleading. He's got a 4.31 ERA. So, look, the strikeout stuff has been there for Rodon, but I don't know, you're just not going to get the pitcher that you thought you were signing. I keep on saying that. You can still get a good pitcher here. You can still get someone that's going to help you win ball games, and at the end of the day, that's the most important thing, but this is not the guy that we saw with the San Francisco Giants the previous year, signing to the Yankees. Yankees go 1 for 13 runners in scoring position in this Game 3. Yeah, just not very good. Let's discuss it. The rubber game. So the Yankees lose the rubber game. Dylan Cruz, first batter homers. His first homer of his career, makes it 1-0 Nationals. And then you get a single by James Wood, steals second, goes to third in the wild pitch, Chaparro walks, and then a block on Rodon that scores Wood. It was the right call. I understand that he was frustrated. I understand why, but that's just he did the wrong thing. So that makes it 2-0 Nationals. We go to the second, and Jazz Chisholm Jr. homers again. It's Chisholm Jr.'s 22nd homer of the season. Let me just see real quick the overall Yankee numbers. Let's see. because I assume that they're probably pretty impressive. He has 9 homers, 14 RBIs, batting 304 with an over 1 OPS. Yeah, so the numbers are really good. I mean, the strikeouts, 23 strikeouts, that is a lot. And, only 5 walks. So, again, I think that you're looking for, you kind of want that to be a little bit better. But, again, he has been a dangerous force in that lineup. So that makes it 2-1. Then let's go to the second where Rodon can't get a shutdown inning. A bunt single by Jacob Young. He's still second. Then Nunez gets an RBI single, makes it 3-1. Then Nunez steals third. Again, a lot of steals for the Nationals. They had 5 steals in the first 2 innings, and that's inexcusable. And then with 2 out, it would be a James Wood RBI single. Gives the Nats a 4-1 lead just like that. And then in the bottom of the fourth, and I should mention DJ LeMahieu grounds into a double play. With first and third, 1 out in the fourth, it would be a 5-4-3 double play against LeMahieu. In the fourth inning, it would be with first and second and 1 out. Dylan Cruz gets an RBI double to make it 5-1. And it could have actually been worse, but they threw a guy out at home to end that play or thereabouts. It might have been a run. I think it was a rundown. No, it wasn't at home. It was bad base running. But anyway, 5-1 Nationals. The fifth, Yankees do score 1 run back. It would be an RBI single for Aaron Judge. And this was the one hit that the Yankees had all series with runners in score position. Of course, Judge is the one to do it. Makes it 5-2. Let's jump to the sixth. They pull Cousins. Speaking too quickly there, they pull Rodon. Jay Cousins comes in, and he provides 1 1/3 innings, no runs, no hits, no walks, 2 strikeouts. So good job by Cousins, who has, like I said before, has been great. Bottom of the eighth, Luke Weaver gets lucky. So Luke Weaver, he walks Joey Gallo, gives up a single to Juan Yepes, and then Jose Tena hits what should have been at least just an RBI double. I don't know what happened, why Joey Gallo was going to tag, and it ends up being a double play. I'm not even going to go into the whole thing, but it was just it was like Little League base running by the Nationals, and so Weaver really got lucky where it should have been an inning where he allowed at least 1 run, potentially more. He ends up allowing none. We go to the 9th inning, and the Yankees get a little bit of a rally against the closer, Kyle Finnegan. Leadoff single Volpe, walk Chisholm Jr., and then Oswaldo Cabrera comes up. Like I said, he got pinch hits for LeMahieu, which I'm glad they finally did that. And Cabrera, unfortunately, the first pitch was so far outside, and they call it a strike. And eventually he lines out, hit it hard to center fielder Jacob Young. Almost 100-mile-per-hour exit velocity for Cabrera, but didn't work out. Double steal for Volpe Chisholm, which I don't know why Volpe's even trying to steal there. If he got thrown out, it would have been really bad. But then Verdugo grounds out, and that's the problem with Verdugo. There's just not enough pop in Alex Verdugo's game. In a best-case scenario, he's kind of just getting singles and stuff like that. It just hasn't been good for Verdugo, even though he's been better lately. It's just, this is not the player that the Yankees saw with the Red Sox. Just not. And then Gleyber Torres strikes out to end it. So Juan Soto, again, left on the on-deck circle as the Yankees lose 5-2. So a disappointing series loss, one that I'm not all that surprised by, to be honest with you. I'm really not. But that's just what it is. So now let's just quickly preview the Yankee-Cardinal series. And the Cardinals, they are right around 500. They're a little below 500 as I record this. They're not great, obviously not terrible. And, they got some players, like some names on their team, some older veterans. But it's certainly a winnable series. But look, the Yankees haven't been very good at home in general. Anyway, that's also been part of the problem. Despite the fact that this was a road series loss, the Yankees have not been good enough at home. Anyway, 3-game set. And it's weird. It's a quick, just like this was a quick 3-game road trip, that's just a quick 3-game homestand, and then they will go to Texas from there. But the matchups, Yankees are facing 3 righties, which should be a good thing for this Yankee team. Eric Fetty versus Marcus Stroman. Fetty's been good. Fetty was actually on the White Sox to start the season, was traded to the Cardinals. He's got some pretty good numbers. So he was someone that was on the Nationals for a while, then I think he went, left the country, pitched overseas, and really has done a very good job since coming back to the majors. Game 2 will be Kyle Gibson, the veteran, versus Will Warren. So you can't love that matchup for the Warren factor. And hopefully this is his last outing before, Schmidt or Heel or something happens, because Warren's been pretty bad by and large in his starts. Not that Gibson's been very good, but you just never know with a veteran like that. And then game 3 will be, let's see. For some reason, Nestor Cortez, I'm surprised by this because I thought it had been officially announced, but now it's being listed as TBD. Game 3 will be Miles Michaelis, who's had a really rough season, and it's TBD for the Yankees. I thought that it was officially Cortez, so that's what I would believe it to be. I wouldn't think it'd be anything else, but let's see. Maybe somehow they're switching things up. Maybe it's possible. But anyway, it's a series where the Yankees really need to win, and we'll see what they do. But yeah, Yankees not taking advantage of a softer schedule, and it's going to make for an interesting race down the stretch. The American, things are bunched up, as I continue to say. And yeah, so Yankees lose 2 out of 3 in DC against the Nationals.